February 24th carries a rare shift. Quiet, subtle, yet powerful enough to redirect the flow of money in a person's life. Most will pass through this day like any other. A few will pause, place one simple thing into a glass, and unknowingly open a door that was closed for months, sometimes years. I am Shi Heng Yi, and today you will learn a small practice rooted in awareness, intention, and ancient symbolic wisdom. A practice that can change the way opportunities find you, the way decisions form inside you, and the way wealth begins to move toward you instead of away from you. This is not superstition. This is not blind belief. This is about how the mind responds to symbols, how attention directs energy, and how a single conscious action can interrupt patterns of lack that repeat silently in the background of daily life. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why this date matters, why a glass becomes a powerful container of intention, and how a tiny action performed at the right moment can shift confidence, clarity, and financial momentum. Many people search for complex strategies while ignoring the small turning points that quietly shape destiny. Stay until the end, because the final insight explains why most people try similar practices and see nothing, while a small number experience sudden openings, unexpected chances, and renewed financial direction. You are not here by accident. Something in you is ready for change. Welcome to Shaolin Force Path, where discipline meets inner power. Subscribe now and walk this path with us. Pause and feel this for a moment. Not every day carries the same weight. Some dates pass like drifting clouds, while others arrive with a quiet gravity, as though life itself is offering a reset button. February 24th holds that kind of energy. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a subtle opening where old patterns loosen and new direction can take root. Human beings are deeply influenced by markers in time. New Year's, birthdays, first days, final days. These moments signal the mind to review, release, and begin again. Psychologists call this the fresh start effect. Ancient traditions simply observed that certain days feel like thresholds. Step through consciously, and the path ahead changes. February 24th sits in a unique position. Far enough from the chaos of the year's beginning, yet early enough to redirect its course. By this point, many quiet disappointments have already settled in. Goals forgotten, energy scattered, doubt whispering that nothing will really change. That is exactly why this day matters. It interrupts that downward drift. Think of it as an alignment point, like adjusting the wheels of a vehicle before the journey goes too far off course. A small correction now prevents a long detour later. When intention meets awareness on a day like this, the mind becomes unusually receptive. Decisions feel clearer, motivation returns, opportunities that were invisible begin to stand out. Nothing mystical is required for this to happen. Attention alone can reshape behavior, and behavior reshapes outcomes. Yet when attention is focused on a specific day, it gains force, like sunlight concentrated through a lens. Most people will sleepwalk through February 24th and carry yesterday's worries into tomorrow. A few will treat it as a doorway. And once you step through a doorway with purpose, you rarely return to the same place inside yourself. Great changes rarely begin with grand gestures. They begin with something almost too small to notice. A deliberate action that signals to the mind asterisk from this moment, something is different. The brain responds powerfully to these signals. Touch the same object each morning with intention, repeat a simple act at a meaningful time, and your focus starts to reorganize around that purpose. Distractions lose some of their pull. Decisions become less random. You start moving in a direction instead of drifting. Many highly successful people rely on personal rituals, though they rarely speak about them publicly. Not because the actions themselves are magical, but because repetition builds identity. A short routine before work, a specific gesture before an important meeting, a quiet moment of stillness before making decisions. These small anchors tell the nervous system to shift into a state of clarity and readiness. Over time, the ritual becomes a switch. Perform it, and the mind enters the desired state almost automatically. Even athletes and performers use this principle. The same warm-up, the same breath, the same sequence. Not superstition, conditioning. the body and mind learn to associate that pattern with peak performance. In everyday life, a tiny intentional act can condition you for confidence, discipline, or openness to opportunity. When the action involves something physical, something you can see or touch, the effect deepens. It stops being an abstract wish and becomes a concrete signal. Each repetition quietly tells your subconscious this matters. And once the subconscious accepts that message, behavior begins to align with it. You notice different possibilities. You respond differently to risk. You hesitate less when opportunity appears. On a day like February 24th, this effect intensifies. The action is no longer just a habit. It becomes a marker, a clear point where you chose awareness over autopilot, intention over routine, direction over chance. Look closely at a simple glass. Empty, transparent, waiting. It holds nothing, yet it is designed to receive everything poured into it. This is why the symbol is so powerful. An empty glass does not resist. It does not choose. It simply allows. In many traditions, vessels represent the human state of readiness, the ability to accept nourishment, opportunity, or blessing without obstruction. When you place a glass before you with awareness, you are silently declaring, I am open, I am prepared, I can hold more. The subconscious mind speaks in symbols, not logic. It responds to images, objects, and repeated physical cues far more deeply than to silent thoughts. Each time your eyes meet that glass, a message is delivered beneath words. There is space in my life for something new. Over time, this quiet signal softens the inner tension that pushes abundance away. The tension of feeling full of worry, full of doubt, full of past disappointments. Transparency adds another layer. You can see through a glass. Nothing is hidden inside it. This subtly reinforces clarity, the willingness to face reality without distortion. When the mind feels clear and unburdened, it stops clinging to scarcity and begins scanning for possibility instead. Capacity also matters. A larger container holds more, but only when it is not already filled with something else. Many people unknowingly carry mental clutter that leaves no room for growth. The empty glass becomes a physical reminder to release that clutter even for a moment, and create space. Repeated exposure to this symbol trains the subconscious to associate openness with safety rather than risk. Gradually, resistance lowers. You become more willing to accept help, pursue ideas, negotiate value, and step toward opportunities that once felt out of reach. Now comes the part most people expect to be complicated. A rare object, an expensive tool, something mystical brought from a distant place. Yet the truth is far quieter than that. The power of this moment does not depend on rarity. It depends on intention. And the item you will place into the glass is so ordinary that many overlook it every single day. Before revealing it, understand this. Simplicity is not weakness. The mind resists simple solutions because it craves drama. It believes transformation must look dramatic to be real. But lasting shifts often begin with something humble, something already resting within arm's reach. The more accessible the object, the more powerful the message. Abundance is not far away. It is not hidden behind complexity. It begins where you stand. Look around your home, in the kitchen, on a shelf, near the sink. The item is likely there, unnoticed, waiting for meaning to be assigned to it. When an everyday object is given conscious intention, it stops being ordinary. It becomes a signal, a trigger, a marker in time. This is important because the subconscious accepts what feels familiar far more easily than what feels foreign. An object you already see daily carries no resistance, no suspicion. It blends into your environment while quietly delivering a new message each time you notice it. And that is the key. This practice is not about impressing anyone. It is not about spectacle. It is about embedding a powerful instruction into the rhythm of your daily life without friction. On February 24th, when you place this simple common item into your glass, the action will feel almost too easy. That is precisely why it works. On February 24th, fill the glass with clean water and place a small pinch of salt into it. Nothing more. No decoration, no complication, just water and salt. Two of the most ancient elements known to human life. Simple, accessible, yet deeply symbolic. Water represents flow, movement, adaptability. Money, like water, must circulate. When it becomes stagnant, it loses power. By pouring water into the glass, you signal your willingness to allow financial energy to move again, to release tight control, fear, and blocked patterns. Water also reflects clarity. When it is clear, you can see through it. This mirrors a clear mind, free from confusion about goals and direction. Salt carries a different meaning. For centuries, salt symbolized value and preservation. Entire economies were built upon it. In some cultures, it was traded like currency. A pinch of salt into the water represents adding value to your life. It also symbolizes purification, the quiet removal of negative residue, doubt, and scarcity thinking that silently shapes decisions. When salt dissolves, it disappears from sight, yet its presence remains. This is important. True change often happens invisibly at first. The outer world may look the same, but something within has shifted. The water now holds more than before. It has been altered, even though it appears unchanged. As the salt dissolves into the water, let your intention dissolve into that mixture as well. A clear thought, a calm decision, a commitment to act with discipline and openness. Each time you look at the glass, you are reminded clarity in mind, purity in intention, value in action, flow in finances. The elements are simple, the symbolism is powerful, and when repeated with awareness, the message begins to root itself deeply within you. Understand this clearly. The power is not in the water, not in the salt, not in the glass. There is no magic hidden inside these elements. The real force is your focus, your belief, your awareness. The ritual is only a doorway. You are the one who steps through it. When you perform this act with intention, your mind locks onto a new direction. Attention is powerful. Whatever you repeatedly focus on begins to expand in your awareness. When you decide, even quietly, that February 24th marks a financial turning point, your brain starts scanning the world differently. Opportunities that once blended into the background begin to stand out. Ideas that seemed small start to look promising. Conversations carry new meaning. This is not coincidence. It is perception shifting, and perception drives behavior. Belief also changes posture. When you believe movement is possible, hesitation weakens. You send that message in an email. You make that call. You negotiate with more calm confidence. The outside world responds differently when your inner state is steady and clear. Most financial breakthroughs are not random miracles. They are the result of subtle internal adjustments that lead to different external actions. Intention acts like a filter. Without it, life feels scattered. With it, choices align. Energy stops leaking into distractions and starts flowing toward purpose. Even small decisions, saving instead of spending, learning instead of avoiding, reaching out instead of withdrawing, begin to compound. The ritual simply creates a moment of awareness strong enough to interrupt autopilot. And once autopilot is interrupted, you regain authorship over your direction. That shift alone can quietly reshape an entire financial path. Each morning, when you first wake, pause and look at the glass. Notice the water, notice the salt dissolved within it. This simple act is a signal to your mind. The day ahead is not random. You are choosing focus, clarity, and openness to opportunity before anything else touches your attention. The moment is quiet, yet its effect carries throughout every decision, every interaction, every step you take. Some may also choose to drink from the glass, not out of superstition, but as a physical gesture that reinforces intention. With each sip, silently affirm your readiness to receive. Let your mind recognize that abundance is allowed to flow in. Let the body register the act as commitment. Small as it may seem, this repeated action roots the message deeper than thought alone ever could. Setting this daily intention is like planting a seed in fertile soil. The water nourishes it, the salt strengthens it, and your focus ensures it grows. Every morning becomes a quiet alignment with your financial goals. Each glance, each mindful sip, reminds you that opportunity is noticed and acted upon. It reminds your subconscious that you are open to receiving and capable of recognizing value. The real transformation comes not from drinking itself, but from the mindset it cultivates. Your day starts centered, purposeful, and calm. Your attention begins to catch patterns that were previously invisible. You make small decisions differently, with confidence, clarity, and a sense of readiness. The glass, the water, the salt, they are simple tools. The shift happens inside, in how you perceive the world, how you move through it, and how you respond to chance when it appears. Over time, this small morning ritual sets a tone that compounds. Each day's practice reinforces the mindset of abundance, of alertness to opportunity, and of disciplined intention. The mind begins to expect growth, the body begins to act toward it, and life quietly starts to rearrange itself around this new focus. Doubt whispers quietly in the background, convincing you that chances are rare, that effort will go unnoticed, that the world is against you. Fear builds invisible walls, shrinking your vision and slowing your steps. Scarcity thinking convinces the mind that resources are limited, that opportunities are few, and that nothing will ever truly shift. Left unchecked, these patterns repeat themselves day after day, silently shaping every choice, every hesitation, every missed opening. The danger is subtle. It is not dramatic. It is in the small decisions, ignoring an email, postponing a call, dismissing an idea before it has a chance. These tiny moments accumulate, and before long, your life feels like it is stuck in a loop. The outside world mirrors the inside. Abundance does not arrive because the mind is unconsciously close to it. This is where the ritual changes everything. Placing the glass with water and salt becomes more than a simple action. It becomes a deliberate interruption of those negative patterns. It is a signal to the subconscious that you are reclaiming control. You are saying, I am aware, I am open, I am ready to receive. That quiet message shifts neural pathways, even if only slightly at first. Each morning, the act of seeing the glass or drinking from it reminds the mind that scarcity is not a rule. Doubt can be acknowledged and released. Fear loses some of its power. Opportunity begins to stand out against the noise of worry. Repetition of this simple gesture creates a rhythm that interrupts autopilot thinking and replaces it with conscious, empowered attention. Over time, the brain starts to expect abundance. It begins scanning for possibilities rather than obstacles. The ritual does not conjure wealth by itself, but it rewires attention, aligns behavior with intention, and quietly opens channels that were previously blocked. One small mindful action begins to loosen the grip of fear, doubt, and scarcity, creating space for growth, opportunity, and momentum. Change does not arrive all at once. It grows quietly, layer by layer, through repeated action. Each time you place the glass, each time you look at it, each time you drink from it with intention, you are sending a small signal to your mind. This matters. Consistency turns that signal into a pattern, and patterns shape behavior far more powerfully than one-time effort ever could. The mind begins to recognize opportunity the way it once ignored it. Small chances that would have gone unnoticed now appear clearly. Conversations spark ideas. Meetings reveal hidden possibilities. Decisions feel easier because the subconscious has already accepted a new expectation. Progress is possible. Abundance is allowed. Momentum exists. Every repetition reinforces this truth, compounding its effect quietly but undeniably. Consistency also strengthens belief. When an action is repeated daily, it stops being symbolic alone and becomes tangible proof that change is possible. Each morning's ritual reminds you that you are capable of focus, that you can create intentional space for opportunity, and that you are actively participating in shaping your own path. The brain begins to link this daily behavior with outcomes, gradually rewiring habits and decision-making processes towards success. The compounding effect does not rely on dramatic results at first. Often, the earliest signs are subtle. A new idea, a fresh motivation, a small opportunity noticed before others see it. But as days continue, these small gains accumulate. Decisions become faster, more confident, more aligned with goals. Patterns of scarcity dissolve, replaced by awareness of abundance already present but previously ignored. Through repetition, the glass becomes more than a symbol. It becomes a marker of disciplined intention, a tangible reminder that your attention shapes reality. Over time, this simple, consistent act trains the brain to notice opportunities, take aligned action, and gradually attract results that once seemed distant. What begins as a small daily ritual quietly becomes a foundation for lasting change. Once the mind begins to shift, the world starts to reflect that change in subtle yet meaningful ways. You may notice new ideas appearing seemingly out of nowhere, solutions to old problems becoming clear, or creative approaches that you would have dismissed before. Opportunities that once passed by unnoticed suddenly stand out, quietly inviting attention. Unexpected contacts may enter your life, a message from someone who can offer guidance, a conversation that sparks insight, or a connection that opens doors you did not realize existed. These are not miracles. They are the natural result of a mind attuned to noticing possibilities that were always there but previously ignored. Motivation begins to rise without forcing it. The small daily ritual primes the mind to recognize what matters, and when the focus is clear, energy naturally follows. Confidence grows quietly, not arrogantly, but steadily. The confidence of someone aligned with intention, someone who has acknowledged their own ability to influence outcomes. Each morning, as the glass reminds you of purpose, decisions start to feel lighter, clearer, and more deliberate. You may see opportunities manifest in everyday life, a chance to advance in your career, a financial opening, or a moment to act decisively on an idea. These shifts are subtle at first, like whispers of movement beneath the surface. Yet over time, the accumulation of small insights, timely actions, and focused attention builds momentum. Hope is strengthened because you begin to recognize patterns of cause and effect. The world does not simply give or take at random. When the mind is clear, aware, and receptive, possibilities naturally appear. They require action, yes, but they also require recognition. By practicing this small ritual, you train yourself to notice them, respond with clarity, and step into the moments that once would have passed unnoticed. In this way, even the quietest of days can become the start of meaningful progress. It is easy to fall into the trap of watching for results too closely, measuring every change, and worrying when progress does not appear immediately. This is exactly what blocks the flow. The mind becomes tense, the heart impatient, and the subtle shifts you are cultivating go unnoticed. True transformation comes quietly, without drama, and only when you allow space for it to unfold. Trusting the process means letting go of the need to control every outcome. The ritual with the glass is not a magic formula. It is a practice of alignment, focus, and awareness. Once performed, its effect continues even when your attention moves elsewhere. This is why relaxation is essential. By remaining calm, you give the mind room to integrate the new signals you are sending, signals of openness, readiness, and intention. Being open does not mean passivity. It means presence. It means noticing subtle cues in daily life and responding without fear or doubt. When your mind is relaxed, opportunities are easier to see. Decisions come more naturally. Confidence grows steadily because it is grounded in awareness rather than expectation. Obsession with results creates tension, and tension blocks clarity. The glass, the water, the salt, they are tools, not guarantees. Their power lies in quiet repetition and mindful attention. Each day you perform the ritual, you reinforce your focus and intention. Each day you observe without clinging, you strengthen trust in yourself and the process. Step into each day with a sense of calm purpose. Let the act of placing the glass, looking at it, and drinking from it become a moment of quiet alignment rather than a test. Allow the world to respond in its own timing. By staying relaxed, present, and open, you honor the subtle flow of energy, attention, and opportunity that begins to move when intention is consistent, steady, and trusted. February 24th is coming. It is not just another day on the calendar. It is a chance to take a simple, intentional step toward clarity and opportunity. I invite you to try this practice for yourself. Starting with just one day, place the glass, add the pinch of salt, and set your intention with full awareness. Let the moment mark your commitment to notice, receive, and act on opportunities that might otherwise pass unseen. For those willing, extend the practice for a full week. Each morning, engage with the ritual. Observe the changes in your focus, your confidence, and your perception of possibility. Notice the subtle shifts that occur when the mind is primed for attention and openness. These small, repeated signals are what begin to build momentum, the quiet, compounding effect that turns ordinary days into turning points. The beauty of this challenge is in its simplicity. You do not need expensive tools, complex formulas, or hours of preparation. Everything required is already within reach: a glass, water, salt, and your attention. The rest depends on your willingness to participate fully, even for a short time, and to treat this practice as a personal signal rather than an obligation. By accepting this challenge, you place yourself among those who act with awareness rather than passively letting days slip by. You claim a small but powerful space in your life where intention meets action and where subtle shifts can grow into tangible results. The day will pass, but the effect of focused attention does not. February 24th is your opportunity to see what happens when you align intention, action, and awareness. Step into it fully and notice how the simplest gesture, repeated with focus, can awaken your mind to new possibilities, new confidence, and new pathways that have quietly been waiting for your awareness to recognize them. Remember, this action takes only seconds, yet it can quietly shift the direction of your life. Simple doesn't mean weak. Often, the smallest gestures carry the greatest power, especially when performed with focus and intention. Many overlook these turning points, dismissing them as ordinary days until suddenly everything changes. February 24th is one of those rare moments. A day that can mark a shift in clarity, opportunity, and confidence. By taking this small, deliberate step with your glass, you are telling your mind, your heart, and the universe, I am ready, I am open, I am moving forward. If you found this practice meaningful, like this video and subscribe to Shaolin Force Path to walk this path of awareness and personal power with us. Share this with someone who could use a subtle shift in their life. Sometimes a tiny gesture sparks the biggest transformation. Step into each day with calm intention and trust that small, consistent actions can create momentum you never expected. The doorway is in front of you. All that remains is to take it. Your life is ready to turn. Are you ready to step forward,